And we're back with the Lakers weekend, everyone. It's the Lakers Fast Break podcast. No, it's not the Lakerholics. It's, one part of the Lakerholics here. It's Gerald Glassford along with Jamie Sweet. Thanks so much again for joining us. Truly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to go ahead and catch us here on the show. And a big shout out to our members of the Lakers Fast Break rookie membership program: Samir, JSJ, Kurt, Darren, Sports Baby, Richard, Bloodhound, and Xbox. Cannot thank you enough for being a member, and you too can be a member today for just $2.99 a month. And did you know you can get special emojis, badges? There are Jamie Sweet and Joe Soro emojis that you can get, but you have to be a member today in order to do so. So, Joe, go ahead. $2.99 a month. You could go ahead and you will be a member of the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Subscribe today to get the latest notifications on the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. Of course, Joe Soros here, Simblades, simblades.com, and LakersBall, LakersBall.com. Jamie Sweet is here, the man behind 5 Things.
Cranking that up soon.
Yes, Lakerholics.com. Also, as well, of course, you can find the great work of Laker Tom when he's not growling about what didn't happen during the course of the summer. But also, as well, Michael's there. Big shout out to him as well out in Hawaii. There you go. But our good friends, John Costa, Clutch Talk, and Lakers Corner, we're on those channels right now. Give you a big shout out there. Our good friends, Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, having fun watching Ohtani. I know Joe's having some fun watching Ohtani. 52, I think he's up to now. 52 and 52.
Absolutely, yeah. So they're going to play the Rockies 2 more times at home.
Oh, he'll get 60 by tomorrow.
Then they have the Padres for 3 games, and then they have Colorado to finish the year off. In Colorado.
Yeah, in Colorado. He's going to get to 60.
If I said this to a friend of mine today, if let's say he hits 3 more home runs in the next 2 games, let's just say that, he'll probably hit a couple home runs against San Diego, and then you're looking at someone who could be sitting at maybe 57 going into Colorado with a 3-game tilt. Hey, guys, at this point, anything is possible. And
we know. We watched him for the first 7 years of his career. Or 5.
And see, and I wasn't during free agency this year. I was not invested in the hoopla. It was almost similar to how I wasn't involved as much emotionally during the Kevin Garnett chase by the Lakers. For some reason, I just never got into it. And the funniest part about that whole situation was the flight. That was what kind of started making me laugh, because people are gullible, and most people will believe anything. But I couldn't figure out why everyone was going crazy about some flight to Toronto. And I'm not, the smartest guy in the world, but I know baseball and I know what's going on in and around baseball. I'm going, wait a minute, why is he going to Toronto? Like, no one could answer that question. Wait a minute, you guys are talking about this plane that's going to Toronto. Why is he going to Toronto? His brand doesn't work in Toronto. But everyone's like, hey, he's going to Toronto, man. He's going. He's in the plane. And then, of course, you saw what happened. Then the whole time, I didn't have time to get excited about the Dodgers getting him. I was too busy laughing at the Toronto flight. Like, really, folks? Really? Like, you really threw that one on the wall and thought it would stick? I'm talking to the media people who try to become the new Shams or the new Wojs from it, but entertaining nonetheless.
Absolutely. But we're hoping that the Lakers will provide some entertainment for us.
Oh, they will.
One way or the other.
It's going to be entertaining one way or the other.
Whether it's a car crash or it's something actually.
I already sent you the the soundbite of the year.
Well, but need I?
And you know that I swear, the kind of guy LeBron James is, if that got plastered everywhere where you could see it all the time, it would bother him. It would really bother him.
Yeah, it definitely would. But
Pucker up, Jamie.
I can tell you though that the Lakers are getting very much closer to training camp. It is around the corner. We're just a few days away. Their informal workouts are already happening at the Lakers Health Center in El Segundo, next to the much larger center for the Los Angeles Chargers. But need I digress on that? But the Lakers are now getting very much closer to what we will see as far as coming up here. In fact, just right around the corner on the 4th, that's the first exhibition game. So we have got a lot to talk about in the coming days. But one of the things that I want to ask the guys here is, what is their rotation heading into the season that they would be looking at? What rotation do they think will be most effective or most competitive against the other teams in the NBA? And I'm here to discuss that with my good friends, Jamie Sweet and Joe Soro. Jamie, I'm going to start off with you, Mr. Five Things. I know we only have an hour today on the show, but I thought we'd go ahead and elaborate more. This Lakers rotation, I mean, Joe and I have been merciless in our scathing of the lack of inactivity and how we think that the rotation in and of itself lacks a certain je ne sais quoi, something, depth. That's it. Yes, they lack depth of any sort, but they still have to throw players out there over the course of 82-game season. And obviously the rotation will change and flux over the course of the year. But heading into the exhibition season, my friend, in just a couple of weeks, what do you think the Lakers will throw out as an initial rotation?
Well, I think that based on, and something to remember, media day for Rob and JJ is in 4 days. September 25th, media day for Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick. So they're doing a weird two-pronged media day where the coach and the GM are, I guess, going to get lambasted with questions for
of course
an hour or so. And then they'll bring all the guys through like they do with all the pictures and traditional media day.
And Rob Pelinka will probably pull his down his hair.
Oh, I already know it, Rob. I can tell. I peered into the future with my Palantir, and I can tell you exactly what Rob's going to say. That we've built a competitive roster. That the goal here is nothing short of winning championships. That they brought in a coach who embodies all the values that the franchise holds dear. And if you don't believe me, just go back and watch every single press conference Rob has given about a coach in a season, pretty much since he's been on the job. And they're all pretty much carbon copies of the same little speech. He'll talk about a book that he read over the summer that really inspired him. And that'll be about it. And then he'll throw JJ on the fire, and JJ will have to answer all the questions about what the
and he'll get testier as the interviews, as the questions go along.
As questions approaching real questions are tossed his way. They're not going to be real questions. Let's not.
No, they'll throw softballs at first.
Yeah, nobody's going to walk up to Rob and be like, so you did absolutely nothing this summer. Incredible. You think you did a good job? Nobody's going to frame it like that, as they should, but that's fine. That's why we exist.
That's why we're not there.
Also, why we're not there. We don't get invited.
I mean, if the Lakers extended us an invitation for that and sent it to LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com to Joe and I, or you, because you're closer to us than both of us, we're down there.
Oh yeah,
we're down there.
They won't take our questions. We just get to be close to the fun, but whatever. So the question is, what are you talking, like my top 5 starters, top 5 bench guys? Is that what you want to?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going?
What would you put out there as rotation? Because I mean, at least to start off with, in training camp, in exhibition season early on, you have an idea. Sometimes it matriculates something different. Like for instance, Max Christie last year in exhibition. By the exhibition season, he had a chance to crack that Lakers rotation, but absolutely was terrible in the exhibition season.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible, and ruined any opportunity for him. It got him off to a bad start and led to a very season for him. Yeah, he never recovered.
He never recovered from training camp.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's done this summer. I hope he's, to be honest, I hope he's gotten stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I asked anything from Max Christie, it would be add 4 or 5 pounds of muscle, and just get tougher, because you're not going to be the leading scorer in any world. You are not going to score a lot of points as a Los Angeles Laker, probably as an NBA player. So you need to figure out how to have an impact on defense, and you need to make the 3-point shots that come your way. And if there's a lane to the basket, you take it to the rim and you take it hard. That's all anybody needs, including Max Christie, out of Max Christie. If Max does that, he will get himself a nice contract next summer. Might not be much more than the minimum based on how the cap breaks for a lot of teams, but and based on how we saw not a lot of guys getting what they think they were valued this summer. So my top 5 starters, and I'm just going to assume that Vando can go in the regular season. If Vanderbilt can't go in the regular season, this changes a little bit for me.
What about Wood? Do you think Wood will be ready to go to start the season?
He's not going. He's out for 2 months, so no, he's not going to be. He's out for 2. When did he get surgery? 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago for arthroscopy, and he's going to be reevaluated after 4 weeks.
He's going to be reevaluated 4 weeks, which means 4 weeks minimum to get back on the court. So he's out for a minimum of 2 months, okay. Right? 6 weeks from now, that's the end of camp. I don't think they will put him into that fire. We'll see. I don't know. I guess it depends. Since he's not going to be ready for he's certainly not going to be ready for any part of camp or the exhibition season. I'm not looking at him being a major factor to start the season off. Mm-hmm. If he were to, I'll include him just for kicks. So if all the guys who are like question marks right now are able to go for the regular season, my starting 5 is, and it's a hard one for me because I really think one of these guys would be better coming off the bench, but I don't think Redick has the cojones or the standing, being a guy who's never coached anybody at all, to like bench Reeves or bench D'Lo to start the season. Right? It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I would have one of those 2 come off the bench if it were me, but I don't run the team, so I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be D'Lo, Reeves to start at the guard positions. If Vando can go, I would start Vando at the 3, and then LeBron at the 4, AD at the 5. Coming off the bench, I would have Vincent being the primary backup point guard. This is going to be weird, but I would have Connect come in as the backup shooting guard. I'd have Christie. Christie come in as the backup small forward. Rui come in as the backup 4, and Jackson Hayes come in as the backup 5. I have Hayes over Wood and Koloko on every depth chart I have. I don't think a lot of Christian Wood's overall skill set. I understand that he's in theory some kind of stretch player. I think he hit like 33% on, for the minutes that he played, a pretty decent amount of, based on how much he was able to play. He kind of shot the ball a lot from 3, and it didn't really wow me. He's not fast. He's not athletic. He's tall enough to get some rebounds, but that's every 7-footer. So I prefer Hayes' mobility. I prefer Hayes' pick and roll ability to, be in the dunker spot and finish off at the dunker spot. And if somehow Christian, who hasn't played in a whole year and had the blood clots issue and is on a 2-way deal, outplays Jackson Hayes, awesome. That's great. Wonderful. Couldn't be happier. I don't personally see that happening. I know that there was a lot of to-do about that signing on a 2-way deal. I don't know if people completely understand the intricacies of the 2-way contract, because you can't just play on the team. You can only play for so many games, including playoffs.
40 games.
Yeah, so you're not going to see a lot of Christian Koloko
unless you find a way to bump him into a regular contract.
The only way that happens, I think, is during the trade, come the trading deadline. If the Lakers make a move and one of Reddish or Wood or Hood Schifino or Christie goes for whatever, like if they just trade them into somebody's cap space, then you can turn one of the Lakers that have a full roster, so they have to lose somebody, or the trade has to send out more players if they do a trade than come back. And so because of that, it's just there's so many non-basketball hurdles for Christian Koloko to overcome that I just don't see him being such a huge factor. I think he's a great pickup for like a project big. I would put him ahead of Colin Castleton on the depth chart, for example, even though I think probably over time Castleton projects to be a slightly better player. maybe just based solely on a shooting. We're talking about guys. We're talking about 55th, late second round picks in the draft, right? Like these are guys who should have gone in the late second round. The project players. As such, I don't expect them to have huge roles on the team. I don't have Bronny James anywhere in my top 10 depth chart. I kind of see the same thing.
Nor should you.
No, I mean, he's the 55th pick, and he was 55th, 56th. I forget exactly which pick in the draft. Late 50s, mid 50s. Project player. Anybody picked in the 50s is a project player. It doesn't really matter. You're just you're hoping the guy hits. You're betting on black, right? Or whatever. Fantastic. He's a bet. Who cares, really, honestly? So if he does great, hey, fantastic. Bonus, like Jordan Clarkson, right? Hey, this guy hit. He's a late second rounder. Solid player. Great. And if he doesn't, second round pick, no skin off anybody's nose. So that's my top 10, and that's barring health. Now, if Vando can't go, you got to slide one of Christie or Hachimura into the starting five. And you could put Cam Reddish in there. I just don't have a lot of faith in Cam Reddish. I'm sorry. I know that he had like a nice turn on defense under Coach Ham for maybe a month or so, right? I can't remember if it was even that long. He had a nice run where like he got some minutes and he was able to impact winning in a decent way. I think he made a pretty clutch shot from the corner. The second time he got the shot, played some decent defense. I don't think he has the basketball IQ to be an impact player in a championship game. And if that's the case, then I don't really see the point in trying to bring him along. And I feel that way about a lot of the players on this team, unfortunately. I feel like there's a good 6 or 7 guys on this team that if you were to step back and be completely objective about everything and not let your Laker fandom influence your thought process, which I'm actually, unfortunately, really good at doing, half the team wouldn't be on any kind of playoff roster at all. Not even as like, oh, well, this is our bench guy. Nah, not one of Christie, Hood-Schifino, Wood, Reddish, Hayes, and you can even make an argument for Vincent, except for that he had that nice turn in Miami. Really belongs on a playoff roster. Vincent's probably the only one off the bench that you should trust in that kind of role, and that's why it's unfortunate that we don't have somebody who I think is going to push one of Reeves or D'Lo out of the starting five. I think the bench would be better if one of Reeves or D'Lo was coming off the bench. I think it would add a lot of balance to the roster. That's why I have Vando starting over Hachimura. I think Hachimura is the better player. I just think you need somebody off the bench who can like keep it going, and to some degree when one of LeBron and AD sits. And I do think that you can find a role for Hachimura in that because he's got a great post game. You can clear out and give him the ball on the weak side and let him kind of go one-on-one, maybe make a play off of when they send the double, because he's got a decent mid-range game and he's good with catch and shoot threes. So you kind of need that off the bench because there's, after those 5 guys in the starting lineup, there's nobody who gets their own shot. There's nobody who creates offense for other people. There's nobody who you can look at and be like, that's my microwave score, right? There's nobody like, Lou Williams or Jay Crowder or not Jay Crowder, Jordan Crawford. There's nobody like that anywhere close to that on this Laker team. There's nobody who's coming off the bench who you look at and go like, that's a bucket, except for maybe Hachimura, maybe. And I don't know that he's up for that task. But if I were Redick, that's what I would have been, I would have been whispering that in his ear all season. You are going to be getting 20 to 25 minutes a game. You are going to be the focal point of the offense for the majority of those minutes because LeBron is going to be sitting down. And so I need you to have that attitude of, I have to score. I have to score. And if I can't score, I need to try my best to learn how to set somebody else up for an easy play, an easy score. And if that's not something we have off the bench, this is going to be a hard season to win a lot of games, to be any better than we were last season, because that was our biggest problem last season. LeBron and AD go to the bench. The lead, if we had it, craters. The deficit, if we're behind, expands. Now we're in a dogfight that we shouldn't have been, or we're just outright losing a game that we could have maybe won. And I don't know what the stats are in the number of games we played like that last year, but I'll bet it was over 20. I'll bet there were at least 20 games where we had a lead and lost it because there was no reliable bench bridge for when LeBron and AD would have to sit, and you can't play them more than 35, 40 minutes a game or they're going to burn out. That's my starting five. My problem with Rui in the starting five is that you're putting a lot of defensive pressure on Anthony Davis because that's a bad defensive lineup overall. Unfortunately, for 82 games, it might be good in a snapshot over the course of an 82 game season. I think that's a lot to ask of that starting five to be a defensive unit. I just don't think they have the mentality or the skill set. So that's my 2 bits.
Once again, it is Lakers weekend at the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. Jamie Sweet from 5 Things at Lakerholics.com, along with me, Gerald Glassford, also here today to share his thoughts on a Lakers rotation. So, Joe, get prepared to go ahead and share your thoughts. It is, of course, Ox1947 at LakersBall.com and the guy behind his own great company, Simblades, Simblades with a Y.com. It is Joe Soro. Joe, glad to have you here. I know we've been at length over this entire summer in regards to the personnel, the lack of depth at certain areas, the problems that are still there or seemingly will still be there because of what they didn't address. But we've got to throw out a rotation, my friend. And if we think they're going to be any at all competitive, I know you'll have a good one in mind.
Well, the starting lineup's going to be the same as it was last year. You're going to see D'Lo at the 1, Reeves at the 2, and then you can go back and forth on how you want to assess LeBron and Rui at 3 and 4, and then Anthony Davis at the 5. The rotation, the first player off the bench, I believe, will likely be Gabe Vincent. I think he's going to play the 6-man role to cover for D'Angelo, especially when they're trying to play against maybe a more formidable backcourt so that you can get a little bit of defense that D'Angelo struggles at. Then you're going to throw the youngsters out there like Max Christie and Dalton Connect to see if they can start getting conditioned with guys like LeBron. Jackson Hayes will be the backup big, and then Christian will be Koloko, meaning Christian Koloko. He's going to start the season as the 3rd big. And how that plays out is what we're probably going to have to pay attention to more than anything. I think the Lakers think they have enough on this team except for the big spots. And how they combat that is, are they going to run and gun for 82 games to not have to worry about that? The other part that's going to need to be figured out is when you do play half court, how is that going to work? Are you going to run 5 small guys playing against somebody like a Jokic in Denver or Philly with Embiid or Sabonis in Sacramento? Then your rebounding situation becomes worse. The play of Jackson Hayes and Christian Koloko will almost have to be strictly rebounding. They will have to be trained to rebound. You want this thing to work, someone has to rebound, and it's likely going to need to be your 2 bigs besides Anthony Davis. If those 2 cannot rebound, then you're going to depend on D'Angelo, Austin, and Rui to rebound, but then you put your team at a disadvantage because those are your ball handling guards. What do they do if they can't get to the spot? And if they get to the spot, are they quick enough to get the break going? Can they do it? Is that something they do? There's so many holes in these players' games when it comes to adaptation. You can't really go into the season going, well, this is what's going to happen unless you tell us that this is what we're working on. And are these guys going to learn this in an off season? I'm not downgrading Austin Reeves practicing and training during the offseason, but the two biggest spots I've seen with Austin Reeves this summer is one on the beach taking some kind of picture with some hottie, and the other was playing golf. D'Angelo, I haven't seen anything.
No,
Rui, I've seen in the gym.
he took pictures with his girlfriend and her kids. Their kids.
Good for him. Good.
Some kids.
I hope there's a balance there, since we're talking about balance.
Me too.
But is that balance in the summer at the beach and at the golf course putting Austin Reeves in a position to rebound well and handle the ball better than he did in the past? The question is, or the answer to that is, I don't know. Doesn't look like it, though. And then what happens when your team gets injured, especially LeBron and AD, and what happens when they go to the bench? Are the leads going to be 12 going into the second quarter and then go back down to 6 within the first 90 seconds like they have been for the last few years? If that is going to be if that's going to be the setup again, you are going to wear out your stars again. You are going to have to start making excuses on how you can't really put all out effort in each game, much like the Dunsky that was coaching before. I mean, you do it, don't say it. Do it. Don't.
Right. The results are the same.
But yes, it's just
you're just talking about optics, really, at that point.
correct. The Lakers have one shot in changing this entire season. And it's really a shot that would have to result in a championship for it to be okay. And that is something happens with a star out there that demands a trade. And for some weird reason, that GM trades him to LA for the 2 future first-round picks and
weird
the guys that you can match contracts with and get them over there.
Shoehorn them into the deal.
Yeah, see, and that's the part that I don't think a lot of the pundits out there talk about. And as far as how the media day is going to go with Rob and what book he read and how JJ Redick is going to start throwing F-bombs, the one thing that's not going to be asked is the questions that matter, because if they do ask questions that are uncomfortable for Rob and JJ Redick, they won't allow those guys in those rooms again. and I want you guys to all understand, this is why this is one of the reasons. This is the disdain on this front office. You can get defensive. You can get angry. You're a human being. I get it. You don't want to be criticized. But when you start denying media people and anyone that kind of combats what you're doing, that tells me you're a coward. Now, I didn't want to use a political word because Gerald right away would have thought I was talking about politics. So I try to keep it away from some political word, even though I'm not talking about politics, but just letting you know. Bottom line is, it's a very C-word type situation with the Lakers. You don't like what we say? Oh, you asked the wrong question? Oh, you don't like us? Seen a lot of regimes do that in the past and present. And that's when you know someone is either inadequate, hiding, or just inefficient in what they do. The only way you can change it, I guess, is just harp on it to the point where maybe it resonates so much it spreads out and finally solves the problem. I don't know. Can't really fire an owner because I don't think Jeannie's going anywhere. But maybe she'll grow a brain at some point here and maybe bring somebody that knows how to assemble a basketball team the right way in the next year or two.
So, Joe, I'm going to bring it back to you. I think the question, in regards to what we're seeing out of this possible rotation and who could be major contributors that we're not expecting, because I think we're clearly expecting LeBron, AD, and then some combination of Rui, Austin, and D'Lo to be the main 5, but they obviously need more of that to be effective in the Western Conference. But the two individuals I'm looking at squarely that I think is going to be the major competition during this training camp is Max Christie and Dalton Knecht. How do you see that playing out? Max Christie, they just gave a 4-year, $32 million contract. They did draft Dalton Knecht, who is an older rookie, more seasoned rookie coming into the league. There's got to be some type of competition for the both. Or do you think that conceivably they could play effectively together? Joe, you're on mute.
I don't know. I haven't seen Dalton Knecht play really. How is he going to play under the pressure of what a lot of people are saying he's supposed to be some integral part of this title contender? That's just not very smart to throw a rookie in there, especially someone who's sitting at 17. Yes, scouting has gotten better. Yes, there's a lot more rotational, slight difference makers that are coming out in the later picks than they were maybe in the past. But I'm not going to put the pressure on Dalton Knecht to be this savior. Remember, guys, look at Triple J in Miami. Look at Podziemski in Golden State. Those guys had an amazing rookie year. An amazing rookie year. But their teams were not good. It's hard. It's 99% chance that rookies, no matter how good they play, they're just not going to make a difference. Now, Derek Lively sort of kind of went past those guys a little, but then you saw he hit the wall towards the end against the Celtics. And I'm not saying that it was bad, but this team cannot lose based off of what they have. When they lose, it's a lost season. They have to be winning championships because it's LeBron James and Anthony Davis. If this was LeBron and Anthony Davis getting to the Western Conference Finals and losing, then going to the finals and losing, and then maybe winning one, and this was like your 3-year setup, okay, yeah, they came up short in the Western Conference Finals in maybe a competitive series. They lost on a couple bad decisions in the finals. Fine, I get it. And then they won the following year, whatever. They're competing, and they're putting themselves in good positions to get to those spots, but they're not doing that now. And even when they did reach the Western Conference Finals, they didn't belong there. They got smoked. You're not supposed to get swept if you're LeBron and AD on the same team. LeBron, yes, I understand he's much older, but you also have to factor in that they led in a lot of those games. When you lead or you're favorite in a series, that means you're good enough to be there. And if you don't win, that means something's wrong with your team. When I go into conversations with people about the 2004, the 2008 finals losses that the Lakers had, both series the Lakers were favored. Both series, the Lakers had won. They had game 1 and game 2 at home. Should have won that series. They had no business losing to Detroit. Yes, I understand Karl Malone was hurt. Yes, I understand Gary Payton was whatever. Rick Fox was injured. But you have, at that time, the two best players on the planet. You would have to win that series. I don't care how good Detroit was on defense. I'm sorry. You're telling me the best center of his generation in his prime, with Kobe coming into his prime, you have to win that series. No matter what anybody says, that's just how I feel. 08, you're up 24 at some point in game 4. You're up 20 in the third quarter at home. You got to tie that series and win that series. Same thing forwarding now. You're leading in these games, even in this last series, and you're blowing it. So to me, it's just you're not supposed to be losing like this when you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And if the same old script with an addition of a rookie and a hopeful of a guy that's not shown anything yet, JJ Redick would have to channel something mentally on all those guys and take it to a level that we've actually probably never seen.
Jamie, let me bring it back to you, my friend. I agree with Joe as much as we want Christian Koloko, who one of our other Laker channels out there called recently a monster, and I thought that was kind of amusing. He's a skinny second round 7-footer.
He's a monster project.
He's a project who was out a year because of his blood clots. Right. I do not think that anyone should expect him competing for a higher spot in the rotation right away. It's something he could develop into halfway through the season, maybe even at the end of the season. You pick him, you change things around, give him a regular contract. It might work out that way, but initially, him getting back to basketball speed, I think, is going to be the key for him. So it is going to be, especially with Wood being out, Jackson Hayes' spot as the backup center. And if you want to pair him with AD at times, see how that looks. That's what the preseason's for. I guess you could try and see what happens there. But Jamie, I do want to say that I think this rotation, if it's going to be at all competitive, has to have more firepower. And I'm not convinced yet that the Lakers have that firepower after player number 5. I'm worried about it. I think that it should have been addressed. And you are, like Joe said, you're putting a lot of pressure on guys like Dalton Knecht and a guy you just put your blind faith into, and Max Christie, who hasn't done really anything substantive, consistent at all to earn that contract. But now I believe he does have the platform to earn it. So your thoughts, the key for this season could very well lie between who, or if both of those guys, Knecht and Christie, do step up to the plate and be consistent performers for the Los Angeles Lakers.
I mean, when you said that you're worried after the top 5, I was like, I'm more worried about after the top 3 or 4. I don't. Firepower is going to be an issue. If you go over to LakerHolics.com, Laker Tom, who's a big proponent of JJ Redick as a head coach, has been posting all these links to a podcast he did recently where he talked about how he plans to use 5-out sets and how 5-out sets are in general misunderstood by the public at large. And it reminded me of all the reasons why I'm not sure he's going to be a great coach, but also that I do enjoy listening to him break down basketball, because he does break down basketball in a very easily digestible way. And maybe that translates to the locker room, right? Like that's when you say, so my answer to your concern about more firepower is that you have to hope for internal growth, because I don't see the situation that Joe outlined where some great player gets pissed off at the front office and the front office goes, you know what? The Lakers, that's the best deal. That's the absolute best deal we're going to get. I can't see any team topping that offer. Lakers it is. It just is. It's not going to happen. And not only do I just not see it, it's just not going to happen. So if that's like, if you're going out, when you're lying in bed at night, thinking calming thoughts to put you to sleep, and that's one of them, just stop fooling yourself. It's not going to happen. We're not going to make a trade for superstar. At best / worst, we'll make a trade for somebody like broken down Ben Simmons or broken down Zach LaVine or broken down Lonzo Ball or some other broken down almost superstar. That's the best. That's the best trade you can hope for this season. And it's a trade the Lakers should not make, in my opinion. Keep the picks. Keep the picks. This is what the LeBron James swan song has to look like if there's anything after that you want to build before 2030. 2030, not 2026, 27, 28, 2030, right? So with that in mind, there's no trade coming, right? No meaningful trade. We might trade, JHS and Cam Reddish for somebody, Kyle Anderson, whatever, something like that. That's the kind of trade you should expect to see at best. So that's why I've been saying pretty much all summer that if you're a Laker fan, you really have to be pulling for internal growth. Somebody amongst Reeves, Hood-Schifino, Christie, Hachimura, Hayes, or even Dalton Connect as a rookie has to show that they're more than what we expect here on the show, right? They have to come to what we expect, which is a low bar, and then pass that by a significant margin, which is hard for me to see. Because when you say, like, what have I seen Dalton Connect do? What have I even seen Max Christie do? What have I seen Jalen Hood-Schifino do? Jalen Hood-Schifino was injured and in the G League most of last season. When he did play at the NBA level, it was completely and wholly underwhelming, and that was in garbage time. He was bad in garbage time. And maybe he's one of those guys when things don't matter, he just doesn't have the focus. Okay, sure. I had an actor once in a play who was terrible through rehearsal, but like assured me that when the curtain goes up and the lights come on, the magic happens. And I can tell you that made me feel -% better, because that's BS. That's lazy. That means you don't want to put in the work and you think you're just going to be amazing when it matters. So anybody who's like, well, maybe I do zero on Faith. Faith and I have a relationship that is as far away from each other as we can possibly get. I have faith in nothing but what you prove to me. All right, myself included. I only am good. I'm only as good as what I can actually do. Right. Everything I believe or think I should be able to do, that's all BS. So show us we're wrong. Max Christie, show us you deserve an $8 million a year for 4 years that nobody else is even offering contract. Show us how wrong we are. Please, because if you do, it's just going to get better for you. Same with Hood-Schifino, same with D'Lo. All these guys are fighting their own life. They've gotten themselves to this point. They can, D'Lo can play the whole blame game when in his media sessions, when he said, this, that. You put yourself in this position. Nobody else. Stop blaming other people. Step up to the plate and do something. Show us we're wrong. Don't tell us we're wrong. You can say anything. People say anything all the time. Go watch a political rally. They'll say anything. And it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Just like what we see on media day in 4 days isn't going to matter. Just what we see whenever the player media day after that. You have to show me. Everybody on this Laker team is battling reputation, except LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And even AD a little bit, right? Even AD a little bit with the injuries and the ability to completely disappear from games at times. Even he's fighting a little bit of reputation at this point. And so there's nobody going to change that but you. Nobody, nothing you say, nothing you podcast or blog or, whoever you talk to, whatever ex-NBA player's got a podcast now, which I think is all of them. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Just stop. Just save the time, go to the weight room, get a few more reps in, get a little stronger. That's the solution here. So I don't think we have enough firepower. That's why I personally keep coming back to the defensive end. That's why I have a problem with my starting five. I actually have a question for you two. Is there a world where somehow Jackson Hayes is the starting five, AD is the starting four, and LeBron is the starting three with D'Lo and Reeves, which then moves both Hachimura and a potentially healthy Vanderbilt to the bench? You put Vando as the starting three, Rui as the starting four, or three off the bench, four off the bench rather. Is there a world where that makes sense purely for defensive and talent distribution reasons? Not because he's the best.
Well, Hayes is a terrible defender to start off with.
But that's what I mean. You play him with AD. You play him with AD so that he's not the primary. That's what I'm saying.
Who's going to guard the threes? That's the thing, though, because
That's
LeBron.
I
mean,
it's gotta be LeBron.
as Darren in our chat will always tell you, LeBron is not going to go out and cover unless those like 1 or 2 plays a game, or one of those days where he feels feisty.
Sure.
And he wants to, turn back the clock. We all see it, whether someone talks a little smack to him and he gets feisty for a couple plays, or he feels like he wants to go ahead and go back in the time machine on the defensive end. He takes defensive plays off. We know it. We're not going to hide it. We're not going to go ahead and run away from it. So I would probably say it just can't work. LeBron at the 3, even LeBron at the 1 might be problematic now at this stage, because again, is he going to go ahead and be guarding the ones on the other end, or do you have to constantly worry about switching? I mean, it's a switching league anyways, so you could get more away with it, him as a 1, but him guarding wings, Joe, let me bring it to you, Joe. Guarding wings.
I just saw the chat a few.
Yeah, I don't see it. I just don't see it. But let me also get Joe into this as well.
Please.
Jared Vanderbilt, how much, his health is now a question. We don't know any definitive answers on Jared Vanderbilt's health going into training camp. How imperative is Jared Vanderbilt, Joe? And I know you got to come off mute here. Let me get you off mute. How imperative is him being healthy to the Lakers rotation this season?
He's imperative if he does what he's supposed to do, much like how Cam Reddish is imperative if he does what he does well. The issue with both those players is they don't do what this team needs for very long. Therefore, hoping and wishing that some guy can be better than he is kind of it's nonsense. Jared Vanderbilt and Cam Reddish, and I use those 2 guys as an example because they are perimeter players that have shown some defensive skills, which is something the Lakers desperately need on the perimeter. But they're not consistent enough. They're not even consistent enough when they're playing, let alone dealing with the fact that they're hardly ever healthy. Vanderbilt's body might not be equipped to withstand the rigors of an NBA season. It just looks like his body breaks down on him. Cam Reddish is not, I believe, focused enough to play in the NBA. There's a lack of focus because his body is there. I mean, from size and width and being able to do some things, but I don't think mentally he can
keep up.
It's too much. And that is normal. That happens a lot in the NBA. There's so many levels to the NBA. It's a lot of it is how do you say it? Masochistic?
Masochistic, yes.
Yeah. You have to get up in the morning, train, eat, focus, game plan, practice, lead, media, and then just imagine now that scale just keeps going up and up. You have the ones that are not good, but they're good enough to make an NBA team. Then you got the ones that are just above those guys. Then you have the guys that can play sometimes if certain people get injured. Then you have the guys that are rotational players. Then you have the really good guys that come off the bench. And then you have the guys that are starting. Then you have the guys that are really good at starting. And then you have the guys that are, man, this guy could be great, but he's good sometimes. Kind of like I always use Jamal Crawford as that guy, right? The guy that can look like a first ballot Hall of Famer and then look ordinary. Then you go from like an all-star every now and then perennial all-star, and then you got the guy that's just out of this world good, and then you got like the LeBron, the Kobe's, and Shaqs. I mean, you're talking basketball. There's so many levels to that thing, and all that factoring in is health and focus and distractions and what team you're on. Is the system good for you? Is the coach suck? Is the coach good? Is management sucking? All this shit. And you have to make sure all this thing works like a well-oiled machine. It's like making a movie in a lot of ways. For those of you who've ever been on a movie set, I mean, the money, the producers, the equipment, the insurance, egos. You know, you're dealing with a lot of mental abuse, and then on top of that, in sports, you're dealing with physical abuse, not negative physical abuse, just because you're putting your body through all those crazy routines, and then pipsqueaks like us online criticizing everybody for that when they're not doing it right. And
Hey, well, why aren't you doing it right?
what we probably should be doing, and again, I feel like I've tried to not criticize players as much as I can in the last few years, because when you really think about it, basketball, more than any sport, we know who these guys are. We know who they are. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, why can't Jackson Hayes score 12 points a game? What's wrong with him? He sucks.
Nothing.
It's a waste of life. Why would I say that? It's a waste of time. He doesn't do that. But what I can do is I can criticize guys like Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, right? Rob Pelinka sitting there telling us that this team is competitive. Really?
4 days.
Really? Like, if you start saying things that insult people's intelligence, now you're going to get the venom. And we're going to sit here and we're going to observe, we're going to watch and analyze and try to entertain as much as we can to the crowd, and then say, look, it's December 15th. The Lakers have this record right now. Why? And I have a pretty good feeling it's going to be the same crap that we're talking about right now.
So with that, Jamie, again, your final thoughts for now, as we're getting closer and closer. Training camp is around the corner. The rotation after number 5. In fact, I've said it before, on a really good team, on a really strong team, Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura should be coming off your bench. Yes. They should not be starters. And even D'Lo, if you like D'Lo, if you don't like D'Lo, the numbers are usually better with him off the floor than on. I'm just going to say that as far as the statistics, they were in Minnesota. They were clearly a better team with him off the floor than on the floor. And in Lakers, again, it all depends if he's really on a hot streak, and if he isn't, it's always problematic because of his defense. But yeah, there's just so many problems the Lakers did not address in the offseason, Jamie. I've told Joe this and I've told everyone on the air this. I just have a lot of concern regarding the Lakers rotation, and if it can be consistently competitive, unless you're just going to be totally reliant, Jamie, on 2 players now well into their 30s.
I mean, yes, you're right. You're not wrong. I think that is the blueprint for what they see as a successful, a potentially successful team. I mean, I don't know how to say this any differently, so I guess I'll just keep hammering this nail. But like, there's such a huge and incredible drop off after LeBron and AD. It's a Grand Canyon sized gulf between LeBron and AD and D'Lo, who's obviously the 3rd most talented player on the team. It really isn't even a question, right? He's the one who's the most able to light it up. He can play. You've seen him play okay defense from time to time. Reeves and Hachimura on Denver, on even Milwaukee, on really any top 5 team in the league. Pick any of them. Pick any of the top 10 teams in the league. They're coming off the bench. They're coming off the bench, or the reason that they're not is because the player that they start in place of is somebody who keeps the vibe rolling better than other options, right? And that's not a knock against D'Lo or Rui or anybody else. It's just where they're at. It's just what they've been able to accomplish. And so, yeah, we're all hoping for improvement from within. We're all hoping that all these guys can accomplish more than all of us expect them to accomplish. but I don't think our expectations are unreasonable. I don't think our projections are unreasonable. When people tell me, like, I want to see this team shoot 43 pointers a game, my immediate and very quick
Laker Tom, you mean?
Anybody. Tom, anybody. I see it in the chat. People are like, oh, the Lakers should shoot 40 to 45 3-pointers a game because of the way the NBA trains this game. And I go, who? Who is taking these shots? Who on the team do you really, really, honestly, truly, really want to see shooting 10 plus 3-pointers a game? Nobody. Not one of them. Maybe D'Lo. Maybe.
Well, statistically last season, LeBron, although I know Allen,
but
Darren, they didn't like it, but statistically,
is that the best use of his? That's because he took smart shots, open shots, and that's fine. I'm fine with smart shots.
If he keeps it above 40, yeah.
But do you really want us to be running plays for LeBron to shoot a 3?
Well, and statistically, that was the best shooting season of his career behind the arc.
Outlier.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? If it's gonna even come close to that again. He was up and down. What about the
same with? I saw in the chat you were addressing the Vando shot like 35% for like 4 whole games. It's great. I'm a huge believer.
Somebody said in the games just before he got injured, he shot 4 of 6 from 3. But I'm like, in the limited number of games, he shot 29 overall, and he's a career 29. No. Consider it a bonus if he shoots well.
Correct. Same with Jackson Hayes. Like Joe said, we shouldn't be expecting Jackson Hayes to put up 12 points a game. It's just now 12 rebounds a game. That's a reasonable goal for Jackson Hayes, even off the bench. You're 7 feet tall. You move like a gazelle. You can jump. Learn to box out. Learn to get rebounds. You will make money. That's it. That's all you have to do. Like don't overcomplicate your role. Don't overcomplicate your career. Make the money you can doing the thing you should be best at, which is altering shots, if not blocking them, and getting rebounds. That is it. That's it. Set a solid screen and roll hard to the rim. Okay, 3 whole things. I know you can do it. I believe in you that you can figure it out, that those are the 3 things you should really just zero in on. Don't take any more 3. Nobody needs you to be a stretch big. The stretch big is a waste of a position, in my opinion, because you don't want your center out there at the 3-point line. You want them under the basket getting rebounds. So that just is how I think basketball ought to work. I don't know. I just, there's such a huge talent drop off that I don't really even see a solid starting 5. We've got 4 players who I think are pretty reliable. Hachimura isn't one of them, unfortunately. And I think we're going to see Reeves either establish his ceiling or discover that his ceiling has been established. I don't see a huge step forward for him, at least on this team. Somebody said that he needs to play an up-tempo system. All right, yeah, maybe. But, I mean, the Lakers were actually not a bad breaking team.
Well, has he maxed out as a player? Pardon the Christie pun. That's the question. He is an undrafted player who –
I think he probably is close to it. I don't think there's not much. That's what I'm saying. That his ceiling has either already been established or he will establish it this season. That's we're talking a little bit, and it's all on the defensive end. If he can become somebody who is a ball hawk more than he's proven himself to be, if he's somebody who can become adept at taking charges off of screens, let's start with just fighting over and through screens. Then those are qualities that can up his overall value to not just our team, but any team. And that, to me, would constitute a pretty big step forward. If you see him like fighting through and over screens effectively, the way like you saw, the guys his size, guys his speed. There's a lot of guys his size, his speed. He just has to decide to do it. He just has to develop that mentality. And if he can't do that, that's just another problem. That's just another problem for this team. So, and that's where you're at. You're hoping for internal growth. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. And if you don't get it, then we're a play-in team. We're probably a play-in team, even if guys like Christie and Reeves and JHS do take a small step forward, because I don't expect LeBron and AD to play as many games as they played last season. And when they played a ton of games last season, we were a play-in team. And that's just the simple reality. That's you want to blame the coach? All right, you can blame the coach for a couple games. You want to blame the role players? It's just, that's what we got. That's this team. and they doubled down on that. And so it's a curious bet to double down on. It's not a bet I'm sure Vegas would approve of a double down on. And so that's not a coach or player problem. That's a front office problem. And so we're at the point where this is what it is. We're not going to get Kevin Durant. We're not going to get even Jeremy Grant. We're not going to get those guys. Not anytime soon, and probably not ever. So with that being the case, stop hoping for Santa Claus and start dealing with – somebody's got to stop hoping for Santa and start dealing with the problem. And the problem is going to be defense. The problem is going to be holding leads when LeBron and AD are on the bench. And those are the exact same problems we had last season. If we can't improve our offensive rebounding, or rather our defensive rebounding, offensive rebounds are going to be a problem. So those are the three areas that I thought we were the absolute – that's where we lost a lot of games last season, was we let people get multiple shots at the rim off of offensive rebounds, or multiple shots in general, three-pointers.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave up leads when our bench came in and had to try to hold a 5-10 point lead. It would go away. We'd be down by 5 or 10, and then now you're just in a completely different ball game. Nothing I see changes that. Dalton Connect can be last season's Taurean Prince at best, right? Does that seem fair?
I don't think we'll have a Taurean Prince issue where there's just someone in the starting lineup that continually be starting that we're going to have much of an issue with. Unless,
I think that Taurean Prince put up decent numbers overall. Like if you look at his impact on the season,
keeping him in the starting position was just a bad move.
That was a bad move. Not entirely his fault though, because Hachimura was hurt a lot early.
He's being told to start. It's not his fault, but
no.
Yeah, we all know who that lies. Yeah, where that lies.
I didn't see your comeback. I am the Easter Bunny. I would like for you to keep that under your hat, please. Especially
but
for your daughters.
It is Jamie Sweet. 5 things at LakerHolics.com. Joe, I want to hit you. I started the conversation with Jamie today. I want to end it with you, my friend. And I want to end it by someone who they've been talking about in the chat. Rui Hachimura. People are kind of weighing in on one side or the other. I think the reason why people are a little bit hesitant to all but say, Rui should be the starter. Rui should be the starter. In fact, Jamie had Vando ahead of Rui as the starter, is because at times he, coming off that great playoff run, Joe, he was inconsistent for periods of time last season. But during the big rush and run that they had in the latter part of the season, he was starting and he was a major part of that, Joe. So I want to hear your thoughts, Rui, and how much of a big factor is his development going forward for the season and the rotation.
It's probably the one I'm going to be watching the most. It's the one that would be most likely if I had to pick one. If his game is predicated on better efficiency, the ability to handle a little bit more physical acts, which he struggled with in that Denver series. Every time he got to the basket, he came up lame because the aggressiveness got his focus off. He was missing shots he should have made. Much like Austin Reeves, from what we've seen already in their careers, their best attributes would be off the bench. They would be huge contributors, huge assets off the bench. But the issue is the Lakers don't have enough starters on this team. Therefore, they are now put in a position to have to start. And that tends to be a problem when you want to compete night in and night out. When you have guys that are meant to be in that level of coming off the bench and being effective, and they're supposed to be 30, 35-minute players, it's not a good translation. Not a good transition, actually. Mm-hmm. I think they're best suited, at least from what we've seen so far, they're best suited playing 30 minutes off the bench on a championship contender. but they can't because the Lakers just don't have the ability to put him there because there's no one else to put in the starting lineup that would make it viable. But Rui is a guy I'm going to be paying attention to in terms of seeing if his improvements are going to matter. Even if he improves, we don't know if it'll matter. And that's the part that we're gonna watch and see. Yes, Devotion, nightcaps will return when the season starts.
Yeah, that's what I was just typing in there because you had mentioned that before on a couple of occasions. So yes, Devotion and all those Joe watchers out there, you will get more of your nightcaps.
And the Gerald's been trying to get me to do my own shows, folks. Doing your own shows takes up a lot of time, and it takes a lot of preparation. It takes a lot of paying attention to things. Now I pay attention to things pretty well. I have Sirius XM radio in the truck. I have YouTube. I have all the apps. I can see this stuff on the road when I'm stopped, obviously. I have 5 TVs in the house. I can watch whatever I want at any
Everybody
time.
else on Southern California freeways doesn't watch what they're doing, Joe. Why should you?
It's not a matter of issues. It's a matter of, well, I have screens on my screens. It's not a phone. So, but it takes a lot of material. It's a lot of material. Imagine doing a Dodgers show every day. I wouldn't need to quit my job to do a sports show the right way. And believe me, I would be more than happy to do it. The problem is the return isn't as big as my normal job. But it maybe will change. It may change in the future. I think that's the plan. You do your best here to set everything up. The production value is something that's very important to me. If I'm going to go that route, I want the production value to be top notch. And the marketing has to be there too. Marketing matters, eyes matter, subs matter, which sucks because I usually don't care about that stuff generally, but it's important for this. It can't be something about what I like and what I don't like. I guess I could just be basic and have a few people that watch me and do all that, but that makes me feel like I don't know. Am I doing it for me or am I doing it for the audience? It has to be for the audience. I don't need to do this. I want to do it because the audience wants me to do it. This is a performance business. The performance needs an audience. If I'm going to be an actor and I'm doing plays and they're sold out, that means I have to be there. If I'm there and there's 3 people there, sure, I can hone in on my skills and get myself going at some point. But then at the same time, if it's in it for 15, 20 years and I'm trying to be this aspiring performer and I'm not getting anybody that likes my stuff, at some point I'm gonna be like, look, people just don't like me. It's not my thing. Yes, I actually have. I'm SAG eligible, actually.
You mentioned that before on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm SAG eligible, still have the letter. Never joined because I had to pivot my front of the camera stuff to the behind the camera to hopefully have a little bit more say in that part of the career.
Well, on that note, Joe, Jamie, I truly appreciate you dropping your words of knowledge on the Lakers rotation. If you have thoughts on the Lakers rotation, on how you'd like to see it play out, you can leave the comments below, right there on YouTube, or Lakerholics.com, LakersBall.com, and mark it for Oxnard D47, or you can just email us, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. But yeah, absolutely great to have you guys here, part of a Lakers weekend. Next week, again, it will get closer and closer to training. In fact, the dreaded Boston Celtics and those other teams that are going abroad for exhibition games, they do go to camp next week. So it's getting closer, guys. We made it through. We made it through the dreck of August and early September. So we are getting closer to actual basketball talk and actual basketball gameplay. So yes, absolutely looking forward to it. When is the infamous LBJ minicamp? I think it's right around now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Are the Joe, are they playing near you at the Morongo?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I passed by the stadium, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a legitimate arena apparently. It's Ontario, Marengo,
sometimes
Chonga.
they always go. Last year I think they went down all the way down near you, and then they went San Diego as well.
Yeah, I mean, if there ever was a team that should have been called the Southern California Lakers, it would have been the Lakers. People love the Lakers in the desert. Heck, you could even factor in Nevada, Vegas. The Laker
made
fan
a
there. It's
lot of
pretty big.
well, LeBron has made a lot of conversation about that as far as expansion, as far as him getting into broadcasting after his days are done, becoming an owner for the Las Vegas team. Yeah, he's hinted
He
at
said that.
There's articles on it. Yeah, that's the most recent articles. If you look at that up, he's hinted at it. So
I'd have to hear him actually say that one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying he's hinted at that. So
LeBron likes to do a lot of things, doesn't he?
Yes, but talking about
he likes to make money, Joe. He likes to make a lot of money.
I understand he wants to. He likes to make money, but he doesn't.
He's pretty good at it. He's not bad at it.
He's worth when someone's worth a bill. That doesn't mean he has money in terms of buying a sports franchise.
Well, he'd be part of a group.
Of course he would.
He'd be part of it.
To me, there's a minor. When you're a minor owner, you're nothing to me. You got to be a majority to own it.
I put it in the chat, Joe, as far as the link in regards to hinting at a potential broadcasting career. But then he's also
is Bing still a thing?
Yes, Bing is still a thing. That's what my Bing reward points tell me. Yes, Bing.
Man, you Xbox guys really stick to the Microsoft thing, don't you?
I get free Game Pass, my friend. I don't have to pay the $19.99.
I'm not saying anything about Game Pass. I'm like, who the hell uses Bing?
I'm just.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what? Actually, I'm sorry. Hold on.
No, Mike. Hey, no, Joe, you're right.
Doing it right. You're doing it right.
My family says the same thing. They look at me funny when because they're Google searching or Hey Siri, whatnot. I do Bing simply because of the points. Because again, you can get gift certificates out of it. You could do free Game Pass out of it.
You have a deal, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're trying to bribe you to use it. So why not? I'll take it.
Well, there's a shift going on with Google, isn't it? Isn't there some kind of monopoly suit going on with Google?
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go great.
And then sure their AI, everybody's AI they all have their AIs that supposedly are going to probably be the downfall of the world tomorrow, but who cares?
We watch too many movies. We
know.
We were supposed to have flying cars now.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Blade Runner.
We were supposed to have flying cars. We were supposed to be smarter right now, but we've gotten dumber and stupid and just as useless in terms of functionality in business.
Well, the Terminator series should have stopped at just 2 movies, but need not digress.
I didn't mind the third one, but you're right. It should have stopped at 2. But the third one I thought was entertaining. It was after the third one where it kind of got dumb.
So Steelers going to lose?
No, actually, I'm hearing Herbert might not play.
He's got that high ankle sprain.
And when you hear a high ankle and you hear it, usually when you hear a report like that late in the week, if it's early in the week, it's probably okay. But this is not a team you want messing around below the ankles. And this team comes at you. The Steelers legitimately have 3 starting edge rushers. Herbig is a starter in any team in the NFL, and he's the 3rd guy behind Highsmith and TJ Watt. You got TJ Watt coming. Yeah, you're going to want to think twice if you're injured because you're not going to, this could be a 3-sack day for him if he can't move. And there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk in the NFL today about the 2 safeties, the 2 high safeties. They're saying that the NFL defenses have finally caught up to the aerial, the Arena Football League quarterback passing craziness. which is funny because I'm seeing it a little different. I'm seeing it the fact that the NFL has capped practices in the offseason. I've seen no preseason. They're almost getting to the point where they don't want any preseason for anything because they want, they're protecting the players so they can add another game, right, guys? Isn't that what the NFL cares about? Player safety, right?
Oh, I don't pay attention to that sport at all.
Yeah.
They say they do.
Check this out, Jamie. So these guys care about player safety, yet they've added an extra playoff game and an extra game, and there's going to be an extra game coming soon.
Oh, yeah,
but
they love it.
Oh, and they created this.
Can't you put a big sock on your helmet now?
You could put a big sock on your helmet so that liability reasons are maybe lessened a little bit. Oh, and by the way, folks,
that's what that is.
You have to watch the NFL on 7 different platforms now.
Well, that's going to be the NBA soon, so
7.
That's going to be 2 years.
7.
2 years, it'll be just like that for the.
Remember, we used to have one. Like, let's say you had DirecTV. You had it all there. It's all there. Now you got to go.
He looks like he works at the Enterprise.
And on that note, thanks again for joining us. We'll be back next week with more great Lakers talk as we get closer to training camp. We have our 2 cents coming in each and every day, but please follow Joe as Oxide247 at LakersBall.com and Jamie Sweet's 5 Things articles at Lakerholics.com.
Or someplace.
Sometimes something, put a Lakers in there, and there you go. Yeah, absolutely right. Laker Tom won't like that. Yeah. I'm gonna do another crazy trade proposal. There you go.
He's been pretty mellow this summer. He's been, at least, I mean, I don't do Twitter or X.
He's been mellow because we haven't seen him.
His tech. Well, there's probably a reason why. Because I found out a lot this weekend. Because
is he okay?
Not with the Lakers, that's for sure.
Oh, I thought you meant health-wise.
No. Yeah, no. Obviously, we're rooting for him health-wise, but no. I think he's not happy with Rob Pelinka right now. But that's just the sense I get. But once again,
removed from an epic article that we can find a link to, where he glows about Rob Pelinka putting on a master class of being a GM.
Yeah,
which I still make fun of him to this day because
make him. Yeah, call him out on that, please.
Don't worry. Box checked.
Once again, it is Jamie Sweet and Joe Soro. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching us. Please like and subscribe. We need to get back over 1,800. Please let's get back over to 1,800 subscribers, so you can all get.
Tears. Join our Inside Sports Fantasy Football show.
Yes,
we talk about football a lot there.
Tears. I don't want to be too hard on Laker Tom. I feel so bad when I get into it with him and I prove myself right and him wrong, and he gets so mad, and he'll never apologize.
Why would he? Why?
Yeah. So, he is who he is.
That's right. Just like we all are.
I let Twitter just roast him to death. That's fun. So go to @LakerTom on Twitter just to see Tom get roasted on one of his crazy trade proposals, but. Need I digress? Yeah, there was a Marcus Smart one the other day that was like, whoo, howdy. That he didn't actually initiate the trade this time. He actually just retweeted it out there because he was really happy with it. And my God. But need I digress? But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Thanks again for joining us. We'll be back next week with more great stuff. But here's hoping you will have a fantastic Lakers weekend from all of us right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Hey, Joe,
I love the beach.
Can Ohtani play baseball? I know he can do that, but can he play basketball too?
Probably.
Oh, probably.